Good morning and welcome. I'm Jesse Ramley with headline news here on CNC3 and the TBC radio network. As thousands of commuters were left scrambling for transportation following Monday's nationwide maxi taxi strike, Commissioner of Police Alistair Guevara ordered the deployment of police buses to transport stranded passengers home, describing the move as part of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service's responsibility to protect vulnerable citizens during an unprecedented disruption to public transport. The first wave of police buses targeted the elderly and students. Standing at City Gate as police buses ferried commuters out of Port of Spain, Guevara said that TTPS moved swiftly after recognizing the potential impact the industrial action would have on the travelling public.
We mobilize all the police buses that are readily available to assist in transporting persons to their homes. So at this point in time, we are in the process of delivering on that promise to the Trinidad and Tobago travelling public.
As maxi taxi operators began their strike on Monday, the National Council of Parent-Teacher Association has appealed for calm and swift action as CSEC and CAPE examinations continue across the country. The NPTA said it is deeply concerned about the industrial action while acknowledging the rights of maxi taxi operators and recognizing the challenges they face. The organization stressed that thousands of students have spent months preparing for these critical exams. It warns that any disruption to transportation could create unnecessary stress, uncertainty, and unfair disadvantages for students trying to reach the examination centers. The NPTA is now calling on the government to put contingency measures in place to ensure affected students can arrive at their exam venues on time. And Public Utilities Minister Barry Padaros is cautioning public figures to be better informed before commenting on sensitive national issues. His comments come after B-Mobile brand ambassador and soca artist Nyla Blackman called for empathy in the ongoing Kaya Sealy matter, saying she felt compelled to speak out. Speaking with CNC3 News, Padaros, who is the lying minister for TSTT, said issues touching on national security should not be treated as a popularity contest for likes and shares. He said people in the public eye, particularly those representing the state, have a greater responsibility when discussing such matters. Padaros backed Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissess's position, saying some individuals speak from an uninformed and emotional standpoint without fully understanding the facts or the law. The minister also reaffirmed the government's confidence in the independence of the Director of Public Prosecutions. Stay tuned for another news update at the top of the hour and for comprehensive coverage in our midday news and major newscast at 7 p.m. on CNC3.
Good Tuesday morning to you, Trinidad and Tobago. Today, Tuesday, the 2nd of June, 2026. And let's get the ball rolling because there is lots to unpack this morning. Many still talking about yesterday's crippling strike, and it continues today and tomorrow. Let's get the ball rolling this morning. Of course, Jason Williams signing on. Great to be in your company as always. We're going to really try this morning to talk to someone from the Maxi Taxi Association to find out if that meeting yesterday with the minister will continue today, and if so, there's going to be any resolution to this because many would have been impacted. So let's get into the meat of the program. Sit back, relax, and let's get today's morning brew on the way. See you soon. That's right. JW and a company running in for this action-packed program. Our regular segments continue after 7 with Karen Rose, our digipreneur, and our conversations on cancer. We're going to have one of the survivors come in. It's Survivors Month, so that's going to be an impactful conversation. But immediately, we go through what's via our front page for today, Tuesday, the 2nd of June, 2026. And it says, crippling strike. Hundreds left stranded as maxi taxi operators protest, and I'm sure you're going to get some B-roll just to get a flavor as to what transpired yesterday. Many on the bus route, especially under extreme pressure. Passengers would have been impacted also in the Southland. Just a few maxis out on the main road, on the bus route in the Southland yesterday, causing the TTPS to step in with TTPS buses to take the elderly and the children home, and they were making their trips. So as I go through the front page, it also says here, there was a four-hour meeting with Transport and Civil Aviation Minister, Minister Zakur. Well, that meeting failed to bring about any kind of resolution. Also, Route 1, 4, and 5 drivers back on the job today. Route 2 continue protest, and Route 3 split. So today it might not be as terrible as yesterday, but there will be disruptions, and we will keep you in the loop all day long. Also, Alicia Phillip pleads not guilty to DPP office protest charges. Activist Alyssa Phillip on screen. Charges laid, you know, and she's going to fight this one in court, and you can see the passion. This man too, he, up to news time, I think we didn't get a determination as to if any charges were laid. I think this particular scenario, anyway, you know, I don't want to use his seat to intervene in court matters. But I know for sure the man was just raising his voice. To me, that looked like more a ranking scene, because he didn't do nothing. He's by himself. Obviously upset with the system and what transpired. Well, you can't raise your voice? That's a charge? Trying to work out the maths here, but we'll treat with that another day. I want to get to the back page because there is lots to treat with this morning, and I want to get to our conversations as early as possible. Ireland stuns Windies women. That's right. That's right. That story on page 38. Ireland makes a historic win, makes history with first T20I win over West Indies amid the Dublin rain. So yeah, Ireland in the conversation, and also the West Indies Academy departs for Sri Lanka tour. So all the cricket lovers, that's some news there. And I heard on the news last evening that CPL will return to the Queen's Park Oval for the CPL 2026 season. There were no games last year at the Oval, if you recall. Everything happened down at the Bran Lara Cricket Academy. So for the Oval lovers, all those who love to go to the corporate booths, who love the energy of the Oval for CPL, it's back. They were able to work out their mats and sort out themselves, and they're good to go. Let's head to the brief on this Tuesday morning. And via the brief we are seeing here, regional leaders call for proactive planning as climate threats intensify. I know Ryan is a man who's always on top of that kind of conversation. However, Sogoni wrote this particular story. So Sogoni, Ryan, very much on the same page. And I'm seeing here, prison dog simulates an attack during a canine display at the annual Prison Sports and Family Day at the Golden Grove grounds there on Saturday. Well, I want to go back for a few. As we mentioned, the TTPS put out, from what I heard in the news, 5 buses, 5, and the initial passengers would have been the children and the elderly, those vulnerable, and it was free of charge. The commissioner stepped up to the plate. He was there at City Gate with other top brass officers. I guess looking at the scenario and being proactive and deciding, you know what, we don't want any issues with people being in Port of Spain late and being stranded. So, I know the TTPS, they've been under lots of pressure, and the scope is always on them, and there's been lots of criticism hurled at the TTPS. But when they step up to the plate, one must also recognize the work that's done, and I guess being able to read the room. Yeah, the commissioner was able to read the room yesterday and say, you know what, let's step up and assist, because people were stranded there, people were all over the place. Now, as mentioned, before we take that break, today we are seeing where the Route 1, 4, and 5 drivers are back on the job. Route 2 continue the protest, and Route 3 seem to be somewhere undecided, split in the middle. Split, remember that song, split in the middle. But it's not that kind of excitement this morning. This development, as it impacts business, let's get that deeper perspective from Vivek Sharon, who joins me next on the Zoom line, the chairman of the CRBC, with this maxi strike, the impact on business, and what it means in terms of adaptability for a businessman like himself and his colleagues. Let's get into that conversation immediately. Later on, Crystal Ash, president of Tutor, steps in to speak with the Maxi Taxi impact on schools. And now is exam time. So let's see what measures are being put in place. A very informative and insightful first hour ahead. But up next, Vivek Sharan. See you soon.
Live your best life today with Rand Credit Union.
Heart disease is the #1 cause of death in Trinidad and Tobago, driven by 2 silent threats, diabetes and high cholesterol. But now there's a powerful ally, introducing Berberine Plus by Asia Nutrition, clinically proven to stabilize blood sugar and keep cholesterol levels in check. With 99.9% pure extract, you get superior absorption and real results. Available now at Pennywise and leading pharmacies nationwide. Berberine Plus. Your heart deserves better.
Before we check in with Vivek Sharan, we have on the phone line Brenton Knights, president of the Route 2 Maxi Association. And the Route 2 drivers, as mentioned here by The Guardian, they will continue the protest today while the others are back on the job, 1, 4, and 5. And the Route 3 seem to be a bit split and undecided. Let me ask Mr. Knights, firstly, well, let me say good morning to you. And what's the latest? Is this particular development here, could you confirm that that's the case? Some of your colleagues are back out and you and your drivers on Route 2 will stay home? Give us the latest, yes, Mr. Knights.
Yes, good morning, commuters, good morning. Trinidad and Tobago, good morning to you. Jason, good morning to my Lord and Savior, Most High. Yes, and that came out of the meeting with the minister that bear no fruit, no result to the impasse and the association of Maxi Taxi. But Mr. Hewitt will speak more about that. And by all means, the fight is not over. But Route 2 Maxi Taxi membership, and by extension the executive, heed the call from the membership, and we are standing firm with our rest and reflect continuing today.
What do you think about the cries from the public yesterday? Many saying foul, and you're having no consideration for their, obviously tasks to get to work, and more so for the students who had exams.
Yeah, as I say, it gives us no pleasure to have to come to this decision, and we don't measure our goal or our success by the discomfort of our commuters or the inconvenience that they experience. What we measure is in terms of our success in getting our message across to the relevant authorities and resolution of the issues at hand. So it is not something that we are in our hearts that we would like to continue doing and continue inconveniencing our commuters. We love them very much, and they have been very, very, very supportive to us. We saw some polls on some other networks where the general public is about 85 to 86% in support of us, because they understand and then feel the issues that we are seeing is just and fair. And we continue to press on, because we, just like any other citizen, we have issues, and our industries have been plagued with issues for a numerous amount of decades, transcending beyond political landscapes, meaning that it has affected us under the present UNC, under the PNM, and even under the UNC in 2015, going up to 2020.
What are the issues, really, if you could break it down for us in a nutshell? Because one
of the main issues is the non-transferring of our PBR class. And that transfer is really hurting us because it affects our membership that you cannot have continuity of our business. The business sometimes seems to come to an end when there's a death, and other sectors are able to renew for up to a year in some cases, and even get it to transfer from in the next of kin, and even transfer to somebody who wants to come into the business. And we have been hindered by that for years. Our hubs and them are very dilapidated and non-functional. There's no toilet facility in Grandy. There's no hub at all whatsoever in Arima. The speed limit is affecting us drastically, especially those who traverse on the highway, and it's non-productive. We're asking for the NIS to be introduced. The government hinted that they want to do that the last time when there was a wrong in 2015, and we're hoping that they will see the light this time, especially with the majority to bring that into fruition. The school concessionaires, although they get some money, I think yesterday, but they're in still a cycle that every time they look to take some action, they will send a little bit of money, and the contract there that they have is still a bad contract. And they continue to be an enormous issue. PH is plaguing all of us, including the taxis, and it is hamburging the maxis down in the yellow van, also with us on the main road, and they get so blatant now that some of them running on the bus route. So, and the white van is totally pushing out the normal conventional taxis, and then we asking for this. And just imagine we in a meeting yesterday, and we telling the minister and asking him, hey, is the PH and the white van illegal? Yes. Yes, but Honorable Minister, you could deal with it. He is saying no, that is for the TTPS to do, and that doesn't fall under his purview or his ministry. And we have to remind him, but Honorable Minister, licensing falls under your jurisdiction, traffic wardens falls under your jurisdiction. You have law enforcement under your jurisdiction to deal with the PH and the white van. And so, we were taken aback to say, well, how could someone be so in touch with their portfolio?
So the meeting yesterday, describe to me the mood, the tone. If I was there on a seat, was there any tension in your room? And more so, is there any kind of headway being made? You think there's going to be any kind of headway being made, President?
I'm JW. I'm hearing very easy there, sir.
Okay, so I'll repeat. I was going to ask you, what was the tenor and tone of the meeting? Was there any tension in the room? And more so, is there any kind of headway? Yes, granted, he might have deflected some of the responsibility, but what's the feeling you're getting? You're feeling that there will be some kind of shifting?
Say that again? Could you repeat?
No, I'm saying the mood of the meeting, and do you feel there'll be any kind of shifting of the needle in a positive direction for the maxi drivers?
Well, our fight and everything we do, even when we have meetings, we pray and we ask God Almighty to assist and to intervene. And we trust that what we take up here, we put in God in front, and He will lead the way, and He will open the doors, He will unlock the locks and that are broken. But the meeting had heavy undertone of a lot of politics. And the minister is a creature of politics, so we understand that.
What was the Maxi Taxi Association, their perspective on the TTPS coming out yesterday to assist and bring out about 5 buses to get folks home, 5 maxis actually to get folks home? Did that put a spoke at all in your protest wheel? What's your take on the TTPS intervening yesterday?
I saw it last night, but my personal view, and my view even from this position where I sit as the president, I have no issue with the TTPS coming out and lending assistance, because that is what they're there for in case of an emergency, in case of a natural disaster. That is their portfolio. But what I have an issue with it, that there was not an emergency. What is the need for putting on your siren whilst you're transporting civilians and overtaking the whole line of traffic? What is the need for that? Also, what is the need for the Commissioner of Police to make his office and his portfolio be embarrassed by coming in the vehicle and making a statement and saying, hey, in this vehicle, all you have to worry about all your neck getting locked. And for years, we have been asking the TPTS to come on the bus route and do stop and search to assist with the crime and the robberies and the maxis. And that ain't happening. It was totally embarrassing to see the Commissioner of Police making a statement, very well know that we have been plagued with crime for so long on the bus route.
As we wrap things up really fast, let me ask you, will today be as severe as yesterday? Because I'm seeing some of your colleagues are coming out, so I would imagine kind of what? Would you say 50% capacity on the road?
I will say we will probably about 50 to let's say about 60 to 65%, because the majority of the membership is in support of continue to rest and reflect. Then we got the mandate from our membership for 3 days. Now there will be a little level of frustration, there will be a little level of anxiety, because again, the economics will start to play a factor in this whole scenario. And you will see how it will play, but I could rest assured, the general public, we keep you all in mind. But rest assured, this fight is not over. It is not over, and Route 2 will ensure at the end of the day we get the results that we're asking for our membership, even if at the end of the day we have to strategize and come again. At the end of the day, we felt that we were very responsible as an organization to notify the public, and we will continue to be responsible in that manner. And hopefully we don't resort to the element of surprise. But at the end of the day, we have to utilize all our options, and we hope that the public understand. Because, for example, the self-employed, what we're lobbying for is not just for Maximin. This is a national issue that has been neglected for many, many years.
But President Knight,
the speed limit is not only for Maxi, it is for trucks.
Yeah.
It is also for some of those T-vans and them that fall in that caption. It's also for PTSD. So it's not just a Maxi issue.
But President Knight, keep us posted, and let's see how things pan out in the days ahead. All the best to you. And again, thanks for touching base. That's President Knight.
And thanks very much for the opportunity.
Yes, you're most welcome. Up next, as promised, Vivek Sharon joins us to speak on the impact yesterday's strike and the impact on business and what contingency plans are in place for today, tomorrow, and I would imagine if this was to ever happen again. Chairman of the CRBC joins me next.
At Modern Caribbean Enterprises Limited, we are making this Father's Day extra special. Enjoy special discounts, free giveaways, plus $100 off detox spa session. Experience our infrared ultrasonic blanket. Turn back the clock with our LED non-surgical facelift that reduces the signs of aging. Not sure what dad will like most? Our gift certificates can help him choose his perfect gift. Visit us today and celebrate the fathers, grandfathers, and father figures who do it all. Call 653-0011.
Things don't always go as expected. Be ready with Trinry for auto, home, business and group life. Call us at 800-TRIN or visit trinry.com today. Huge insurance premium. Pay your premiums bit by bit with FlexiPay from Trinry. For more manageable auto, home and commercial insurance payments, call us at 800-TRIN or visit trinry.com today. Trinry. Premier insurance coverage for less.
Your heart, brain, and body with omega-3. Packed with essential fatty acids, omega-3 helps support heart health, brain function, and overall wellness. Whether you're staying active, focused, or simply living life to the fullest, make omega-3 part of your daily routine. Live healthier with omega-3. Wellness that works from within. Tune in to Wellness Unlocked on CNC3 Sundays at 5 p.m., also on Monday and Wednesdays at 9:30 a.m.
Chairman of the CRBC, Vivek Sharon, joins me on the Zoom line. Always great to have Vivek on with us to give perspective. And Vivek, let me say firstly, good morning, and I look forward to...
Good morning, Jason. Good morning.
Yeah,
good morning to you and all your viewers.
Good morning to you. Look forward to kind of picking your brain, as it were, when it comes to this kind of industrial action, because many would have been impacted, including businesses. And there's the question of productivity and the impact on productivity. What does a strike like this do directly to business owners like yourself, your colleagues? What adjustments, what adaptability needs to happen when there is a national shutout like what we saw and experienced yesterday?
I think it's difficult. I think it's a hard thing to actually cater for. I mean, the effects of this thing was quite wide. When we look at, first of all, when students get affected because there's the exams going on, which was a good point that the NPTA raised, right? Parents tend to want to stay home to make sure that their kids or accompany their kids to school in a way, particularly they're using a PH driver and so on. And that exacerbated the fact of how many people did not come out to work yesterday. You're also looking at many people who are temporary and working on minimum wage and so on. A 3-day strike means that they will not earn income for 3 days. So, actions like this, even though the sentiment behind it is to bring some kind of change or to deal with some of the frustrations that they've been facing for a long while, and this would be for the Maxi Taxi Association. The people that feel the brunt of it, and it ends up as the action is weaponized in a sense against the man on the street first, right, or the normal person first. So when you look at how much of our population actually depends on public transport, like I was listening to the conversation you had, which was a good one before I came on, and one of the things that they're concerned about is PH drivers and the white van and thing, but the PH drivers in the white van have a place simply because public transport as a whole in Trinidad and Tobago can't cater to the needs of the entire population. The maxi taxis aren't going into some rural areas. They're not going into up some streets, up some hills, up some mountains. And therefore, the PH drivers are fundamental to people being able to move about, get to work, take their kids to school, get to let's say, appointments during the day, get to the bank, get to health centers and so on, because it means that they're able to get from their home to a maxi taxi center, as it were, right, or something like that. I mean, some of what he's saying is valid. I agree with, the lowered, the speed limit being a problem for them. I do agree with it. I understand safety concerns and all that, but I mean, being stuck behind a 65-mile-per-hour maxi taxi on the highway or on the main road, especially when, we are already dealing with so much traffic. So, I mean, it seems counterintuitive. I remember something similar happened under the last government when the then Ministry of Transport and Works had, Minister of Transport and Works had dropped the speed limit as well too. That was also very unpopular across the board. It didn't really help the traffic situation either, and they ended up raising it after a while. Similarly, what he's saying about the conditions of the terminals is true, but the conditions of the terminals didn't happen overnight. The conditions of the terminals it's because of continual neglect and the inability to direct resources to maintain, the terminals across Trinidad and Tobago. Many of the SMEs, many businesses live, in very close proximity to the bus route, very close proximity to the terminals and so on. And you see, transport and people being able to move to high streets, people being able to go to, let's say, the commercial centers and the financial centers in any particular area where all the banks are and so on, is critically important to the lifeblood of, let's say, commerce on a daily basis, whether it be an east-west corridor from Arima to San Juan or downtown Port of Spain, or whether it is, Shagona, San Fernando, and all those areas and towns in between. So obviously the strike is going to have wide-ranging implications in a sense. For us in the business community, we also have similar issues. We have many issues and very critical issues to deal with.
But let me ask you, I just want to ask you, Chairman, because obviously it shows to me that you're very much connected to the ground, to have that understanding of the importance of the PH, who indeed, as you rightfully say, go into certain areas, work certain hours, where the regular taxi and the maxi will not operate. However, same way you're connected and you're able to read the room and you understand what's happening on the ground, I wonder why the powers that be seem to be so disconnected. Because if this was being heralded and thrown out since last week and the threat was being made that they were going to shut down, why wait till the shutdown takes place to then meet with the association? This could have been prevented if that meeting happened, I'm sure, last week, and they're able to come to some kind of resolution. What's your advice to those who could really shift the needle in the right direction for these drivers?
Engagement is the advice. And I mean, the reality is that there's dual responsibility here in a sense. There's a responsibility of the Maxi Taxi Association to do all that they could do before the strike, whether it is through correspondence, whether it's through calling for a meeting, whether it's through working with the press to highlight their concerns, to get a meeting with the minister. And then there's also responsibility upon the minister as well to deal with the body and to be accessible to the body in a sense that they are able to, at least give a hearing and begin a process by which, the issues could be settled. But across Trinidad and Tobago, strike actions always hurt business and they hurt people across the board, whether these strike actions be, at the port, whether they be at, with maxi taxis today, the port tomorrow, nurses the day after. Who are the people who are inevitably inconvenienced the most? And those would be the people, the normal people. Businesses also inconvenienced greatly, I would say. I mean, everybody's struggling. I listened to some of the interviews yesterday. And, when you say business, people thinking about big brick and mortar business and stuff, but we're talking about food service. We're talking about people being able to get to work at a roti shop, people being able to get to work in the morning for doubles, right? So it has wide-ranging implications. And why I hear the frustration and so on, I would hope that they would temper, they had the meeting yesterday, that's the first step. Obviously, in the meeting, they have to allow the minister, in a sense, to get back to them with some sort of resolution or some sort of understanding to figure out what's happening. But on another level, Jason, for a long time, we have been dealing with the question of public transport in Trinidad and Tobago and PTSC. And I could tell you as a business owner and also being within the Confederation that you said I was connected, and the fact is that as an SME, as a boss in a sense, an employer, you are connected to your staff. And one of the number one reasons when people come to you and they're looking for work, right? And people are looking for work. And when they come and they're looking for work and they say, well, what's the salary? The number one thing they would say is that, look, you know what, I need this work, I need this job, and I want to work, but when I work out how much the transport is, because that's how we refer to it in Trinidad, was the transport. Sometimes the transport to get from where they live to where the jobs are is $50 a day. Sometimes it's more. And this is across the board. This is if you're a helper and you're working as a domestic, helper in somebody's home. This is if you're a caretaker for older people and you have to go from where you're living into a residential area somewhere. This is if you're working in a brick and mortar store. And we haven't even begun to talk about the effects, in factories and so on, where you have the manufacturing sector, who has a large amount of workers, skilled and unskilled, and sometimes some of them working 24 hours a day. So the effects are the effects are quite large. The idea is what is reasonable to ask for and what is reasonable to expect to happen within a short period of time, and are your demands, in a sense, better for everyone, not only for yourself, but how is it going to affect everyone? And so, for example, if it is that we're going to shut down immediately all PS drivers, we're going to shut down immediately all white vans, what are the effects going to be when nothing is put in place and there certainly isn't any structure for people living in rural areas and so on? How are they even going to get to the maxi taxis? How are they even going to get home? And sometimes, we heading into flood season. We heading into the rainy season. Normally what happens when there's flood and so on is sometimes come into the evening, the maxis inside, they ain't coming out. They ain't coming out. People are stranded, and you see them waiting on the side of the road, on the bus route and so on. And, it's difficult. And there's where the PS drivers step in as well, too. I'm not saying that. The idea is that the PS drivers should be regulated, and they need to be regulated from a safety perspective, as well as, tax net and all these other things and registration and all that. I think that is something that definitely needs to happen. But it's difficult for that to happen on the basis that some people have to get a taxi badge and then there are other people who operated commercially without a taxi badge. So it's not an easy thing to deal with, but I'm sure that all governments so far haven't really taken on the issue of the PS driver in a let's say a harsh way, simply because they understand working within the communities and so on, that is important for these people to be able to come in and come out.
Let me ask you,
but nonetheless, it remains an issue.
Let me ask you before we wrap things up, did you have any reports of any brick and mortar businesses having to close their doors or probably close early or not even open because of staff not being able to make it?
I heard of food service. I heard of food service businesses being pretty hard hit because food service starts pretty early. They have all the prep, for example. If they don't have enough people to do the prep, it becomes a problem. So I did have some food service places not being able to open yesterday. I know many businesses were running at half mast or even less in a sense. So these things are, it is going to hurt business, I think, and it's going to hurt people's pockets as well too as this thing. As it unfolds. And in the business community, we believe in discourse. We believe in discourse. We believe in dialogue. The free press in Trinidad and Tobago is an amazing thing because we are a democracy at the end of the day. And the free press, they help a lot with representation, and they help a lot with bringing a lot of eyes or bringing a lot of attention to many of the issues. So reaching out to the press, in a sense, is also a good thing for the Maxi Taxi Association to do, rather than, these very drastic actions that they're having. But it's part of a larger conversation, again, Jason, as we're wrapping up, about, what are the effects to the greater community of Trinidad and Tobago, to the greater citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, when we find that representative bodies, particularly when it comes to labor, when it comes to these associations, get the things that they want to do. And something happened quickly yesterday. I was called by Jesse James from the Maritime Association, who was very frustrated. And what happened is that Sail Clear, for example, is something that's been touted as success, and everyone's very happy to have it in the Chaguaramas area. But yet Jesse was telling me that it's plagued because yesterday they had some yachties who were trying to go through the immigration process who were in line for like 3 to 4 hours in the hot sun. And this was not a line of 100 people or a line of 200 people or anything like that. The frustration was so great that you had people coming and saying, which are visitors to our shores in a sense that we need, and we desperately need their forex. And everybody's working towards, building tourism, and they're saying, we ain't coming back here. This is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And we agree, because if you had to stand up for 3 hours waiting to get your stamp in the airport, we would feel the same way. So why is it that systems don't work? And why is it that, so when we look at the greater, so the maxi taxi drivers, if the government grants them some of the things that they want, because certainly they won't get all. If PSA public servants get all the money that they have been clamoring for and they have striked hard for and that sort of thing, are there any benefits that are going to come to us, the people of Trinidad and Tobago? Is it going to help the systems become more efficient? As we're seeing in the Sail Clear, that innovation and new technology being implemented into systems don't always give the income, because the outcome that we would hope for, simply because at the end of it is an individual, a person, a human, right? Yeah. And that human needs to step up to the plate as much as the technology has.
Well, Chairman, as always, great conversation. Let's see how things pan out in the days ahead, and I'm sure we will touch base soon. All the best, Vivek.
Thank you very much, Jason.
Indeed, Chairman of the CRBC, Vivek Sharon, touching base. Up next, we get a chance to check in with Tutor President Crystal Ash. She joins me on the phone line to discuss the impact on the students and what contingency plans are in place for today and tomorrow, knowing that it's exam season. Crystal Ash, next.
We are your one-stop, most convenient, most helpful, most caring community pharmacy. Our pharmaceutical services include dispensing medicines, repeat dispensing, clinical governance. But we also have a fully stocked convenience store featuring our refreshment aisle, grocery lane, personal care products, toys, pet supplies. We are most conveniently located out of the traffic, just 2 minutes off the highway in Heartland Plaza, Endeavour, Chaguaramas. Contact us on 220-8705 or 470-5938 and visit us soon. Magical Expressions Limited is the largest local importer and distributor of fresh cut stems, offering the widest range of beautiful flowers at the most affordable prices. Call us today at 701-6488 or visit our website to order.
Looking for the ultimate gaming experience? Welcome to Phase 22 Gaming Lounge, where gamers of all ages come to play, compete, and have fun. Dive into your favorite games on PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, or race on our high-tech racing rigs. And experience the thrill of VR with PlayStation and Meta Quest. Our lounge is safe, comfortable, and perfect for everyone. When you're done, check out the latest gaming systems, accessories, and even Samsung and Apple phones. Visit us on the second floor of Gulf City Mall or call 786-2404 to book your gaming session today.
This is more than just music. This is where you find the best of TNT. This is more than just a vibe. This is where Bollywood gets a twist. This is more than just energy. This is Bhangra and indie pop too. This is the mix. This is the life. Lock on or log on now. Sangeet 106.1 FM. This is authentic East Indian radio. This is us.
President of Tutor, Crystal Ash, joins me on the phone line this morning. I'm sure lots of pace, lots of planning. I would only imagine contingencies must be rolling out in terms of any disruptions today. So let's get the latest from President Ash. Good morning to you. Welcome as always.
Morning, JW. Morning and morning to your listening and viewing audience and everybody in the studio. Thank you for having me.
President Ash, I want to ask you, how much was the impact on the students yesterday, especially those in exam mode? What's the report on the field from yesterday's maxi taxi strike?
We've been getting reports, but not many. We have what you call district field officers. So we have district field officers in every district in Trinidad and Tobago. What happened is that they would normally give us feedback if there are any major disruptions and so on. But we have not received anything to say, like, major. If I'm not saying that there were not disruptions, I'm not saying that persons may not have been able to make it to work. But if it was reported to tutor, that is the difference there right now. So we would not have received any sort of information in relation to that to say that there was major disruption. However, we would know one or two persons individually, and they would have expressed concern in terms of the traffic. Tutor itself, in terms of our employees, we had a couple employees who could not make it to work because of the fact that there was no maxi taxi transportation, which they would usually use to come to work. So yes, it is impacting upon our nation, and we are looking on, and we are concerned because at the end of the day, these persons have what we deem legitimate claims and expectations. Just as all workers, just as teachers, just as educators, still waiting on their back pay, still waiting on the Minister of Finance to give us a date, all these things. So GW, it's a fickle kind of situation, and it's a kind of wait-and-see situation, unfortunately.
Understood. Any contingencies would have been put in place? What's the rollout? What's the plan of action, just in case something like this happens again? I know that today some of the maxis are coming out, but walk me through meetings and what plans are afoot when there's a kind of strike and students and some of your colleagues, teachers, can't make it out of school.
Yes, thank you. But what happened with a situation like that, JW? That really doesn't fall under the purview of tutor. That would be the Ministry of Education, and if persons want to make their personal arrangement, what tutor does is present. We will have representation for teachers if there are issues in terms of their job, their working conditions, and so on. But in terms of something like this is not a tutor matter per se, but we are concerned because it impacts on our members. It impacts on the children of the nation. And yes, we are concerned. But at the end of the day, we have no control over this. And we, as I said initially, we understand the plight of the maxi taxi owners and operators. And we are with them. If they have to do what they have to do, just as tutor has to do what it has to do. Thank you.
Understood. And well, of course, it's exam season. Do you all speak on behalf of the adjudicators, those folks who would supervise the exams? What's the latest? I just want to get a little idea now as we pivot probably into the exams. any disruptions at all with exams yesterday? Were they had exams yesterday? What transpired on the first?
I'm not sure what subject they had in JW. Like I said, nobody reported anything. So normally if something bad happens, for sure, tutor will become aware of it. So if no news is, as I say, you people say good news, right?
Yeah, no news is good news.
In terms of the examination, the persons who normally conduct CXC examination would be external individuals. CXC hires their own people to do that. That wouldn't be the teachers. Understood. So it's not regular teachers. It's persons who work in the public service and so on. They get an opportunity to invigilate the examination, and that is something like a little extra stipend they receive for that purpose.
Understood. Seeing that we're going to get that break very soon, the July-August vacation, what's the conversation like as it pertains to infrastructural improvements, just that general upkeep of some of the most vulnerable schools? I know tutor normally will get into that conversation to really fire up the ministry to do the due diligence. How's that conversation going?
It's going good because, for example, let me give you one example. I'll give you some in Tobago and then I'll give you some in Trinidad. So in the Tobago space, we meet with the Tobago Assembly, the chief administrator, on a monthly basis, and they're working in relation to all the necessary upgrades. They give them timelines, and they don't miss with their monthly meetings. We in Trinidad, we have started meeting with the permanent secretary just last month, and our next scheduled meeting is the 18th of June, the day before Labor Day. So tutor is scheduled to meet with the permanent secretaries of the Ministry of Education, the both of them, and all the necessary personnel who are attached to the Ministry of Education to deal with situations like that. What we have it normally on a list in terms of schools that need serious infrastructural assistance, and also schools that need staffing, also individual matters related to specific teachers. We treated all of those things at that particular meeting. So we would highlight to them the schools that are in dire need of infrastructural work, and the Ministry of Education, of course, will make the final decision as to which schools they will treat with and which they will not.
Okay, understood. So clearly, obviously, the best window will always be that July-August, and there are certain schools that I would imagine there must be some kind of tier system where the most vulnerable must get sorted out first before anybody else.
Yes, I would think so. And I mean, and as I say, get Jackie, Joey, Jersey, Jimmy, Jimbus, JW, this particular ministry, they have been working hard to try to ensure that infrastructural issues are being treated with in a timely manner. Excellent. However, many of these schools, as the minister pointed out to us quite recently, they're over 50 years of age. So 50-year-old school, you want to make sure 50-year-old school, and you want to you have to make sure that everything is in place for that to repay it and so on. So it's a little challenging. Yeah, because at the end of the day, like I said, we want to commend the ministry because normally people hear just the negative things I say about the Ministry of Education. So I hope that today persons would realize that Mr. Ash is saying something, Future is saying something positive about the Ministry of Education. What's the conversation like with public utilities as it pertains to connectivity? I know obviously TSTT and others fall under their purview. And in this technological age and with laptops being part of now the school program, and obviously teachers wanting to also have that connectivity to communicate, what's the connectivity conversation? Is every single school outfitted with internet and up to the time as it pertains to connectivity, President Ash? Yes, I know that the Minister of Education, just recently again, he mentioned to us that they have been working vociferously with respect to this to ensure that all schools have sufficient connectivity. I can't tell you the bandwidth or anything because I honestly don't remember, but I knew that it was sufficient such that it would allow them to do all the uploading and downloading and things as they would need, because especially in secondary schools where you have the SBAs and so on and other things that have to be submitted to CXC, you need to ensure that those things are there in a timely manner. But you would always have a little problem at JW because there are schools such as Matlat Secondary, and they call it Matlat Community School. Up there, they always have issues in terms of connectivity. So no matter how you try, I mean, there will always be certain challenges because those areas sometimes you do all the infrastructural work and then you have trees falling that you would not have catered for. Nobody knows that a tree is going to fall tomorrow, but it happens. And then the work is ongoing. So yes, the Ministry of Education, as far as I'm aware, as far as Twitter is aware, is doing all that they can in relation to that. However, we know that there's always room for improvement. Yeah. And whenever there are schools that don't have these things, we would highlight it to the ministry, and if it is not treated with, well, then we would have to advocate. And then there's again where they don't like tutors to talk and so on. Thank you.
President Ash, the incident we saw that went viral, I believe was Montrose Central, where the boy was assaulted by other students to the point where he was unconscious. Anyone held responsible for that? What's the latest coming out of that most unfortunate incident?
Unfortunate, JW, very unfortunate. What do we have our industrial relations officers liaising with the school at this point in time. They are treating with it. I have not received a report as yet. Actually, just it's either yesterday or today they're supposed to make their way there. So we're supposed to be able to get a report on that.
So but, you have no idea if the students. You have no idea if the students would have been identified. The students who were doing the beating.
Yeah. They identified. They identified, and suspensions would have been issued as far as tutors are aware. With things like that, JW, what they try to do, the Ministry of Education, it's a secondary school, so it would be a SS3 would be in charge of that, a school supervisor 3. So what the school supervisor 3 would more than likely do is the principal will issue the suspension, but the supervisor and the principal will work together to get what they call an extended suspension, because you wouldn't want a child like that just coming back into the system without some sort of something being done. I must put in this little plug here, GW.
President, before you elaborate, I just want if you could explain to myself and the listeners what's the difference between a regular suspension and an extended suspension, as you just mentioned.
No problem. All right. So a principal has the authority under the Education Act to suspend a child for a maximum of 7 days.
Okay.
7. And 7 days, that 7 days includes weekends and things. So you don't say you don't jump over the weekend and Saturday come. So if it is that they suspend Friday, but they come Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they go on consecutively. So a maximum, it depends on the infraction. So if it's a minor infraction, sometimes they might get a 2 days or 1 day or whatever the case is, as the principal will see. Now, part of the problem with the suspension, JW, and people are not aware of, the parent has to come to the schools to sign the suspension notice. The suspension notice itself would say that your child, Crystal Ash, has been suspended for gross violence against another student or whatever the case is. And my mommy, my daddy, they have to make their way to school. This is where we have the problem. You have the problem where, some parents, they're missing in action. You can't find them. You can't get them. Some principals even go as far as to have the community police assist them, to even reach out and go to the homes of the parents. And sometimes, because you can't get Mohammed to come to the mountain, they get the mountain to go to Mohammed.
You think some of these parents, you think some of these parents just don't care, or you think it's a level of embarrassment? Because I think, I might feel very embarrassed to know that my child, you come like you had to come with your head down almost to sign this thing, your child disruptive in the school.
I think it could be a combination of both in Nigeria, because I think you raised a valid point there. It could be a combination of both, because a parent really and truly, you ain't feeling like the Chinese shilling there when you had to come for your child to be suspended. For sure, it is unfortunate.
But the extended suspension is where the supervisor comes in, and that's what, about a 2 week, 3 week?
Right.
What's the duration? What's the maximum duration of extended suspension?
That could go to any period that the minister. That one has to go to the Ministry of Education, and that one is authorized by the Minister of Education. That is how that one operates. So there are a number of documents that must be put in place. You have to validate as to why you want this extension. You have to show that, all right, bringing this child back into the system will present a clear and immediate threat to persons that are wrong and so on and thing. And if it is that can be established in terms of documented evidence, then the extended suspension, the documents are sent down, and the Ministry of Education will sign off on it. But the person authorized according to the Education Act of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago is the Minister of Education. But more than likely, it would be the permanent secretary who will be signing for the minister, because the minister is a busy individual.
Thanks for that explanation. I think there's some more clarity. I know you're making a point. I'll let you have your final say with that point you're going to establish before I ask about the suspension. Go right ahead.
Right. No. What I was saying is that there are other things that are happening in the public space at this point in time that the public needs to be aware of. And one of those things that is very concerning and so on is the democracy of our country in terms of these zones, the 15 zones that would have been identified, that if persons want to do any sort of demonstration or protest, then they cannot be within 500 meters of these places. And most of these places are places that we would have marched as a young teacher coming into the service. I would have marched around the Red House Parliament and so on, I think, on many occasions, and we have never had a problem. Trinidad and Tobago has never had any history where there was any violence or any uproar as you would see in other countries. So I'm not me alone, but the trade union movement, we're deeply concerned about that, JW. We're deeply concerned about the fact that why are all these restrictions being put in place? You have a state of emergency that you would have identified, and you said, listen, this is to deal with the criminal element and the gang element. Now we're seeing the state of emergency doing quite a lot more and basically inhibiting free movement of persons, free speech of persons, and curtailing the regular rights of individuals and groups. So we are extremely concerned about this at this point in time, JW.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the report last week. I read it out, and I, too, was a bit taken aback. I mean, it's almost like you have to go march now in the bush, President Ash.
Well, how far you go, JW? So wait, when are we going to march, JW? Everybody had to work with a tape measure? Because, I mean, granted, the police officers, I am not upset with them or anything because they're doing the job and they will be given instructions. But so, and sometimes they themselves don't even agree with it because they have their own concerns because their association have to fight on their behalf to get basic things that they need in the police station and so on. But at the end of the day, we are accustomed doing this and we have never had any issues. Now, if you have empirical data to show, listen, when you look at the history, there always some sort of thing and riots that's happened or whatever the case is. But when has that ever happened? You are in the media, JW. When have we ever seen such a thing happening? It has never happened. So is it that the powers that be, are you afraid of allowing persons to speak? Is it that you're afraid of allowing persons to express themselves and identify their dissatisfaction in certain things? I don't know. I'm confused.
Well, President Ash will definitely monitor all the developments. Keep us in the loop, and we'll, I'm sure, touch base very soon. Thanks again for the time this morning.
Most certainly, JW. You have a pleasant day. Bye-bye.
Same to you. That's President Crystal Ash, President of TUTA. We get ready for the 7 a.m. news update and your calls. So much more happening after 7. See you soon.
Visit Tire Clinic Marketing, New Truck and OTR Tire Service Center at number 30 and 32 Montrose Main Road, Chabonas. Call today at 665-8973 or 672-3419. Alignment services available. Tire Clinic Marketing, Truck and OTR Service Center. A tire for every need.
Gaming Express Limited is a premium importer and retailer of the highest quality brand name electronics. We stock the widest range of PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, Samsung and Apple devices and accessories. Visit us at Shop 52, Level 2, Gulf City Mall in San Fernando, or contact us by phone or WhatsApp message at 687-7480 or 301-9797 or 798-1280. Like our Facebook and Instagram pages for updates on products and services.
Welcome to Holiday Inn Express and Suites.
Do enjoy your stay, sir. You want some coffee?
Can I have a bit?
Perfect then.
That's exactly what we need.
Hi, the pool is this way.
Whatever you're here for, we're here for you. Stay smart at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites.
Step into ABC Doors and Windows, where quality meets variety. Discover premium wooden, steel panel, fiberglass, and steel security doors alongside aluminum, UPVC, and steel windows designed for strength and durability. At ABC, we're always a better choice, delivering products built to last and service you can rely on. Visit our showroom at 1 Chanka Trace, El Socorro South, or call 638-7184 to make your dream home a reality.
Get the story first. Want to know what's happening in news, sports, or crime? Get the CNC3 app. As the story breaks, CNC3 is there giving you the story first on your mobile device. Be connected to the most trusted and reliable news source, CNC3. Access your world with just a tap. The CNC3 app. Download it today.
Sportsmanship is when an athlete walks off the court and you can't tell if he won or lost because he carries himself with pride either way. This quote is an embodiment of sport, and for me, sport is an embodiment of life. We are where you are.
Time check, brought to you by the Central Bank and the National Financial Literacy Program.
A very good morning and welcome. I'm Jesse Ramdale with headline news here on CNC3 and the TBC radio network. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is responding to claims that officers are deliberately avoiding the use of body-worn cameras. In a statement, the TTPS said it fully supports the use of the technology, describing body-worn cameras as a vital tool for improving professionalism, accountability, transparency, and public trust in policing. The service stressed that it is not opposed to body-worn cameras and views them as an essential part of modern policing. The TTPS issued a statement amid mounting calls for officers to wear body cameras following recent police-involved shootings and a recent traffic incident in which an officer accidentally discharged her gun. The TTPS says it is now moving urgently to procure and deploy body-worn cameras throughout the service. Monday marked 1 month since PNM Senator Janelle John Bates offered her resignation and 1 month since opposition leader Penelope Beckles began weighing whether to accept it. And while Beckles remained mum on the issue, political scientist Dr. Bishnu Raghunath warns that Beckles risks facing mounting questions within the PNM over her leadership and political resolve. Dr. Raghunath, who is also questioning if Beckles is the real leader of the party, told CNC3 News that the prolonged delay could fuel concerns about whether the PNM is straying from its own principles.
Clearly, these are not the PNM's principles. If you go back to Eric Williams' days, coming all the way back up, these are not within the principles of the PNM to act in any way unethical, publicly so. John Bates did it publicly, and the political leader is probably trying to change the principles and values of the PNM.
And residents of Cameron Trace in Buenos Aires, Arene, are calling for urgent action to repair a deteriorating wooden bridge they say has become a major safety hazard. They claim the bridge was earmarked for reconstruction before the 2025 general election, but more than a year later, the project has yet to materialize. While they take a daily risk crossing the aging wooden structure, residents say garbage trucks, service providers and construction vehicles refuse to cross the bridge, forcing them to manually carry produce, building materials and even their garbage across the bridge. Resident Clifton Richardson says loose planks, rotting timber and a lack of warning signs have left many in fear. Contacted for a comment, Siparia Mayor Dunat Meru said he was unaware of the bridge's current condition and has promised to investigate. Meru said he will ask the corporation's engineers to visit the site, prepare an estimate and explore options for funding the reconstruction of the bridge. We'll stay tuned for another news update at the top of the hour and for comprehensive coverage in our midday news and major newscast at 7 p.m. on CNC3.
Yes, 3 minutes after 7 o'clock on this second day of June already in your calendar year 2026. Let's get into the open forum. Shagonas, as per usual, standing by bright and early. Shagonas, good morning.
A pleasant good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you, Shagonas. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Just me what I want to say that what could have been done yesterday on behalf of the government, right, in connection with getting the people to their locations, right, to get the people out of Shogunas, out of San Fernando. I think that more buses could have been employed in the whole mission where the regiment is concerned, right, the green buses are where the blue buses, where the Coast Guard is concerned also, right, more could have been done. And I think that they need to open, I don't know if they opened the bus route this morning, right, open the bus route to the public, not only this evening, but also this morning, right? I think more drivers are going to come out, right? More maxi drivers are going to come out because there were a few drivers outside yesterday. Right, and I'm going to tell you something. You can't vex with these men because they have families to feed. You understand what I'm saying? They have families to feed, they have bills to pay, they have things to take care of. Right, and for those who could afford to be on this strike, right, they are not going to help these men and them who cannot afford to stay home. Understand what I'm saying, right? So, in all, I think that the whole action, this action, right, this strike action ain't going to really do nothing much. What they should try to do is seek a meeting with the Minister Transport, the Minister of Labour, and the Prime Minister herself, right? Sit down on the bargaining table and try and have their issues addressed and sorted out as best as ironed out as best as they can. Because really and truly, they say nobody really winning in this, right? As I would have mentioned yesterday. Also, I would like to say that I am thankful to the fact that the Commissioner of Police could have bring out these buses, right, to help all these people, right? But let not that overshadow what is going on, especially with the Joshua Samaru issue. Let that not overshadow anything like that, right? And Trinidadians have a short memory, right? So let us be mindful of all these things going forward. Thank you, Jason. You take it.
All the best, Shogunas. Thanks for checking in. I just going through some of the notes there via the newspaper this morning. So from Shogunas, we head now to the Southland. Faisabad. Faizo, good morning.
Brother Jason, morning.
Welcome, Faizo.
Good morning to Nadru.
Welcome.
Brother Jason, the impasse of the maxi taxi drivers, yes, I think it's a good thing. It will put our resolve to a test as to whether the authorities can deal with situations like this. Because I remember in the 80s when the air traffic controllers strike in the United States of America, threatening to cripple the economy. Mr. Reagan made a move, and he said that in that year, it was the most burger cart in history that was sold. So while they threatened one, they opened up another. But with the maxi drivers, I'll tell you something, Edison. I remember in the COVID, you know what was the maxi drivers' excuse for raising their fees? While the whole country was going through the same strain, they chose to raise their fees, saying they were not getting enough passengers on the route. So they choose to raise their fees in a critical time like that. Then Mr. Imbert, and in collaboration with the Prime Minister, Ministry of Workers and Transport, Mr. Sinanan, said he opened up the floodgate. He said let taxi use the bus route and let any maxi pull up, let any taxi pull up on wherever stand they want to pull up on. You remember that issue?
Yeah.
And take the people home. Yes, good. There was no standoff with respect to that. Now, this maxi thing is they have validity in what they're saying in some instances, but with the passing on of the license or the ban rights, as they would want to call it, to family, I don't think that should happen. I think one member would have gone out, let everybody apply the same way. Give John Public the opportunity. We cannot create a legacy of a certain section of public transport. We cannot do that.
Yeah.
And so, because I know for a fact that a lot of maxi drivers, a lot of fellows would have applied for 6 and 7, and they would have and they sold the bands at as much as $200,000 per band, JC.
Yeah, the ban is the money, yeah? The ban is the money.
Yes. And so we need to let it be on the open market, let everybody have a fair chance. We should not create a legacy where it be handed down from one generation to another. They have the opportunity to apply. Of course, being in the industry would give them an edge because of experience and what have you, my brother. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Faisal. Again, a chance for you to weigh in. 624-8721 and 627-8658. Pleasantville. It's been a minute, Pleasantville. Glad to hear you back, man. Welcome.
Yes, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Jason, what I'm looking at is whether or not this could have been avoided.
Are you asking the same thing, I'm asking the same thing because I'm sure the threats would have been made. And the minister could have met. He didn't have to wait for it to hit the fan to meet yesterday.
Yes, I mean, you've been hearing about it. It's been in the works, and I think much more could have been done to alleviate this. Because, you know, Jason, the people who are feeling the brunt of this is the people who are generally being disenfranchised. People are feeling, you know, that they are not being listened to, that, you know, they are going through a lot right now. We know the situation in the country, apart from the crime, but the lack of jobs and stuff like that. But, and I believe, too, that I give kudos to the Commissioner of Police for doing what he did. And this is something that I think that during rush hours in the morning, I think PTSC, the minister could have at least had PTSC run a free service during the rush hours of the morning and the afternoon. But I think this could have been avoided, and it doesn't look good on the part of it, because generally what we are seeing happening, Jason, is that when you try to get in touch with any of these government ministers, all of the calls to their phone go unanswered, and they find time somehow to send WhatsApp messages and only seem to be interested in answering WhatsApp questions, social media questions that are sent to them. I believe the media should protest and not take these questions from them via WhatsApp and demand that they face the public with media conferences, at least.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Pleasantville. Spot on. As always, you know, ministers who walk into the parliament, granted, some might be probably late to go into the building, but there are certain ministers who just keep on blowing past our reporters, blowing past Darius Polo, blowing past Jesse, blowing past everyone. Just no comment on this. I find that to be so unacceptable. You have taken up the role and responsibility of being a minister to seek and treat with the interests of the citizens, and the reporters who are also citizens asking on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. There's no response. You just... It's really heartbreaking. Akash, I won't lie, you all have lots of patience. I can go through that, you know. I would have said something to get a reaction, because I find it to be totally unacceptable, totally disrespectful, and just totally out of touch. And, you know, my thing is, unless you plan to go to Miami or go somewhere and live when you come out of office, the fact is many will have to return right here to the soil, to the people. And if it's one thing about Trinbagonians, especially folks in Tobago, whereas Trinis might speak in hushed tones and they might speak under their breath, you see Tobago, they tell it to your face, you know. And that's what plenty always can't deal with and can't take, especially if your performance leaves much to be desired. So please, I'm asking, face the music, walk up to the mic, answer the questions, and let's address the issues and at least speak to the nation. St. James, thanks for holding on. Welcome.
Hey, J-Dub, no problem, bro. Morning. How things going?
All is well, man. All is well. Go right ahead.
Blessings to you and the team, man. I know it have some more hot topics, but I could just briefly give some general thoughts.
Of course. Go right ahead, man.
All right, cool. Well, I see most recently, I don't follow football too much, but I know it's a long-standing Arsenal fan. Your team was in the championship finals.
Yeah, Champions League. We lost on Saturday on penalties, you know. Tough luck there to the team.
Yeah. Well, you see, and when you say that, bro, because, you know, I was an advocate for, you know, maybe in the future still, the in-person, you know, maybe once a month. And then I was thinking, too, for myself for the longest while, you know, the morning brew, you really touch on issues within the country. And I know you used to do some, you know, on the scenes in society segments like PFIT and welfare, etc. So I was thinking, too, maybe once a month what they could do, or when they have like a long weekend, they could do a little tours. I know you always mention your growing places, Erie, and it could give you a little something there. Maybe you could have a little, like how Arsenal is your team, and there was in the final, the team, Morning Brew, could have probably host a little viewing party, some kind of positive, fun things like that. But I know all you have ideas and concepts, so it's all good. But yeah.
Good recommendation, man.
Yeah, man, keep up the great work while you're doing for sure. But more recently, I want to touch on the last 2 or 3 mental health conversations. You know, really much more insightful, really stepping into the core fundamentals of society. It's simple, you know, Jay, in my opinion, it's about respect for you and respect for other people. you know, and I see that as the key topic in a lot of conversations we have been, you know, honesty, transparency, and maybe I was thinking to myself, Johansi and yourself, you could probably come up with a next topic like, you know, are you a judicial system on your own? And I say that to mean for a while now, we have been looking at certain organizations, certain structures, certain persons who in authority that's supposed to be doing the right thing. We know what the laws are. It's really simple. Just respect each other. But if you're seeing structures that may not in the past, I don't want to go backwards because some organizations have been stepping up, but let's be totally real. You know, if things not really going according to procedure and rules, what do you do as someone who's following the law? You know, you can't continue to wiggle and dodge.
I'll take a note of that.
You got to walk that straight line comfortably. You must say to yourself, you know what? I had to feel comfortable doing the right thing because these are the laws that we all agree to.
All right.
So I'll keep it brief.
I want to thank you,
bro. Yeah, man, blessings.
Thank you for that, man. I took a note of that there. That's a nice, you know, come like you're governing yourself then. You know, you're governing self-governance, you know, doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do and not because people look in. St. James, boy, you're spot on, boy. So easier said than done, eh? Trust me. So easier said than done, but great commentary. Our final call, we head to Arima. Good morning, Arima. Arima, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, welcome,
Good
Arima.
morning.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, JW. Thank you for your great show and your team.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to say that based on what we've been seeing from the onset of UNC coming in, their ministers and so, they have been spouting a set of words that have been making them uncomfortable because they want to have a particular way of presenting themselves. And I think they've been given a gag order, let me put it that way, so that they could speak, the UNC could speak one way. It's because those people have not been trained in how to respond. And I think they've been given that order to keep holding their lane. And as time goes by, if you notice, when the Prime Minister wasn't coming out regularly, she had her ministers come out after cabinet meeting. So they have a particular way that they are trying to control what is being said so that they can present themselves, I think, consistently.
I mean, you're spot on, but the reality is when the public, like yourself and myself and everybody else, could figure out the game plan, come like the plan I work in, you know, that's supposed to be done so strategic and so technical that you can't figure out the blueprint, but we're seeing it. And the fact is, there are ministers constantly, Arima, as you know, pulling up by the parliament, important portfolio they're holding, where we are asking as reporters serious questions, and they just blowing past, doing like if the reporter's not there. I find that is so disrespectful. They don't even come and sit down on the couch. You can imagine that?
GW, they had a song in their, when they were building up, that the ground will move them or whatever it is. One of the Calypsonians who was singing it, the ground will move them again because if they're not developing their staff to be able to speak out and answer those questions that are coming across, then they have a lot of intelligent people in Trinidad and Tobago. They're going to feel it if they don't come out, and they have a lot of good ideas in other areas. You know, whether the development of the country, the expansive way to increase the economy and the work and so on. But they need to be more balanced in dealing with all the different aspects. And I think, I don't know, they're just a new group in progress. And they have a lot of qualified people, doctors and people who have education there, so they should be able to answer. I mean, the person who became a former police officer into things, his background doesn't allow him to have these kind of conversations, so he will need more training. Yeah. And even if you look at Dr. Rowley used to be very outrageous in his mannerisms, but he got tempered, he got training how to answer. Now he's a straightforward guy, and people didn't like that about him. But because of not just what he said, but how he said it, he riled the people. But as the years went by, I could say, cooled down. And that is what these other people need training in.
Thank you, Arima. Appreciate it so much. I appreciate you. And I'll say, and I've said this many times before, I take you to Sawa, and I'll tell you why I'm taking it to Sawa after I make the statement. Ultimately, in politics and generally in public service, people really do not care how much you know. They want to know how much you care. And that there, folks who figure out that last part are the ones who are able to communicate and treat with the public and have empathy and able to even bring in bad news. You know how to bring it and massage it and treat with folks in a certain way like human beings. So all I say is that those all who flying high will have to come back down to the ground. But when you come back to that ground, that's when you realize how this Trinidad and Tobago stay, because, hey, it's changing and people telling you as it is. My son told me that over the weekend. He said, times change, Daddy, times changing. And they're changing. You see, the young people, they respect the way we would have hold our tongue and hold our strain, our generation who born in the 70s, 80s. You see that 90s, 2000s generation. You see this generation coming up here. You make joke with them. They're different, you know, real different. So let all who like the self. A day will come where the party will be over. And that's when you'll realize how brutal the place is. Yeah? Sawa, right now, under the second day of the strike, let's take it to see what's happening in real time. Of course, officers on the bus route. And that's right in Ikweze, in the heart of it. So Maxi's out. 2 Maxis, a matter of fact. So it seems like at least traffic is moving. Is the bus route open? I've seen cars there without bus route pass moving, brisk. What's going on? Right, so the bus route is open. Excellent. Confirmation that the bus route is open this morning. So, yes, Maxi's out and about. Doesn't seem to be as severe as yesterday. I mean, yes, there might be disruptions in the mix, but that's live footage there from the Kweze in Sawa. That's right. Good stuff. Let's get ready to check in with Karen Rose, our digipreneur. Have no fear, great conversation is ahead. See you soon.
What if we each took one small action today that could have big impact tomorrow? What if one family took a stance to reduce waste in our landfills? What if one school made a choice that can lead to a greener Trinidad and Tobago? When you recycle glass, you create jobs, reduce waste, save resources, and help preserve our environment. Glass bottles and jars are 100% recyclable and can be reused indefinitely. Recycle your glass and join the Glass Loop movement today.
Dennis Lawrence header was easily the most important goal in our nation's history.
It was a moment that united a nation, built on the biggest gamble in Trinidad and Tobago football.
Sometimes you have to be a villain to be a hero.
But 2 decades later, what happened to the legacy?
Not only have we failed, we've regressed.
From the Edge of Glory, a repeat of the epic documentary, June 10th on CNC3.
In the ever-changing media landscape, we at Guardian Media strive always to put you, our viewers and readers, first.
We strive to uphold the time-honored tenets of responsible journalism.
For us, accuracy is key.
And in our reporting, we strive not only to be first, but fair,
impartial,
and to uphold journalistic integrity.
Above all, we are accountable to you, and we must respect the views of our audience. That is our solemn contract with you.
Keen attention to detail,
rigorous verification of facts,
use of credible sources, and sound editorial judgment.
Keep track of our editorial policies and guidelines, including our corrections policy, by logging on to www.guardian.co.tt for more.
is here. Karen Rose joins me on the Zoom line all the way there in Thailand. Karen, firstly, good morning. How things on your ends, my friend? I mean, morning time here is afternoon time when you're on your side. How things, man? Karen, I think you're on mute.
Things are going.
Okay, hearing you now. Go right ahead.
Not hearing me?
Yes. Hearing you now.
Can you hear?
No. You're mute now. Go again. Let me hear.
You can hear me now? You can hear me now?
Yeah, hear you now.
Okay, lovely.
Right there.
Yes, everything is good on my side. I can't complain.
Fantastic. Glad to hear, man. You know, we must always check in first before we get to the business, right?
Of course.
So, I'm watching here at today's talking point how Expedia is changing tourism marketing and the lessons that Trinidad and Tobago can take from this change. And change, as we know, is the only constant. What's Expedia doing different around this time compared to, let's say, 5, 10, 20 years ago?
Yeah, so I mean, tourism marketing has probably had the biggest change in 2026 than it has maybe in over the last 10 years, because the technology has matured or is maturing, and it's allowing a wide variety of new possibilities. And I think anybody that pays, you know, half attention to the tech space or to the AI space knows that every day there is some new update on an AI platform, and it just continues to change the way people use the tools, what is possible for people. So there's a lot of things that are, even from last year, just didn't exist. So Expedia is a really interesting case right now, because they have learned that AI is changing tourism, it's changing consumer behavior. How people discover destinations is payment, it's happening through creators. There's that people are discovering destinations, right? When you think about 20 years ago, Jason, how did somebody plan a vacation? How did they even hear about a vacation? You probably would have seen a brochure. You probably would have seen a TV ad or a radio ad. But think about the last year, 2 years. When is the last time you made a decision to go to a destination because you picked up a brochure?
Yeah, well, it's really word of mouth. Is what you see online now, is what people post. That's what kind of really creates the momentum. I mean, back in the day, it would have been TV ads, magazine ads, something you would have seen in a brochure. Or I guess, you know, the good old word of mouth too. You know, like you might say, hey, I'm in Thailand, and you tell me about it, and I'm like, hey, I want to come see it. I mean, that still works, right?
And then so word of mouth still works, but word of mouth doesn't work on its own, because when I say, hey, I'm in Thailand, Jason, what's your next step? Your next step is now you're going to throw Thailand into any of your social media channels to get some type of visuals or to get some content and to see what's going on. Or you throw it into ChatGPT, Gemini, or any of the AI tools, and you can start asking questions. So what Expedia has done now, big thing, as we got to see, big partnership with iShowSpeed. They have decided to tap into content creators, but also you're not just partnering with content creators for awareness, you're also building the booking site so that every destination that they go to, the places they go to, you can book the experiences, or you can book the hotels, the planes, all on Expedia's platforms. So it's this one big ecosystem. But the next big thing that they've done is they've released a new AI tool called Romy. And Romy, I mean, we all know Beanie Man and Romy. It's all about Romy. Expedia has an assistant called Romy. And that's interesting because, Jason, how many times do you plan a group trip and the first thing people do is they throw everybody into a WhatsApp group, you start to communicate and details get lost. What Expedia is doing is with Romy is actually now their own custom-built AI bot that you can now bring into WhatsApp or bring into iMessage, or you could save it as a contact, and you can add Romy into the conversations, and Romy can now keep track of all the details. It can create spreadsheets, it can do bookings, it can summarize everything happening, it can keep track of itineraries, dates, everything. This is now coming into the ecosystems that we are using, like the WhatsApp and the iMessage. So that's another major thing that Expedia has rolled out that we need to actually understand, because that directly impacts us and if we get the visitors or not.
You know, I'm watching where you would have sent a correspondence. And I guess based on going online, doing your research on Trinidad and Tobago. So I want to bring it back to Trinidad and Tobago. These are some of the most frequent asked questions. And people are asking, and I'm just going to call out a few here. And this was shocking to me. People are asking, what are the latest travel warnings issued by the U.S. State Department for Trinidad? That's a question people are asking online. They're also asking which travel insurance providers cover risks highlighted in U.S. Department warnings for Trinidad. Right? Where can I find official U.S. advisory for Trinidad? I mean, this, I guess, speaks to these advisories, what's happening in Trinidad, obviously, and how it's being painted outside. And people, are you thinking based on this, are folks nervous? Are they thinking twice to come to Trinidad based on these advisories? People take these advisories like to heart. Karen Rose, what's been, what was the data and empirical saying?
So the most important thing is that right now has been the #1 question asked. The U.S. travel advisories on Trinidad over the last 12 months, that has exploded by over 4,000% in terms of search traffic. What I would have sent you would have been, those are the top questions that people asked about Trinidad and Tobago regarding coming to TNT, but they're asking those questions on the LLMs like ChatGPT and Google Gemini. So those are the top questions they're asking right now in the LLMs. For us in TNT, is it something that people are thinking about? Absolutely, because they're asking the questions. We aren't making it up. We are just able to pull the data from what they're asking on Google and what they're asking in LLMs. And when you look at the context of those questions, they are absolutely nervous. And again, that's the #1 question asked over the last year when they're Googling Trinidad and Tobago.
My goodness. So what should we do? What needs to be done? It's a low-hanging fruit. We focus so much on energy, the sector, oil and gas, upstream, downstream. We know that's the major bulk of our earning potential. But when we consider the tourism product, especially Tobago, and its limitless potential, if you could speak directly to the powers that be, Karen Rose, what would be your advice to get us in the algorithm, to get us in the conversation?
So last week we would have addressed that marketing education for Trinidad and Tobago and the wider Caribbean is behind by 10 years. What you actually go into universities Caribbean-wide and when you're learning about within marketing is 10 years old. The problem is, Jason, is that right now people are discovering destinations through the digital platforms. They are using the LLMs, they are using the Expedias, to get your guides to do all of their booking, and people are booking destinations based on the things that they're learning from from AI tools, but also from what they see. What needs to happen immediately is we need to start looking at the Expedias, the Get Your Guides, all of the big tourism platforms right now. We need to start creating partnerships so that we can start upskilling our tourism marketing education. Because none of the things that you need to do right now from a skill set perspective, you can't go to UE or any of our universities and learn what they're teaching in Asia Pacific or any of the other universities in other places. People in Expedia are going to universities to learn these skills to create the Romies of the world. We don't have that in our education system. So that's going to be the biggest thing. The next thing is, when you look at Expedia experiences, the Get Your Guides of the world, Jason, I'm on the platform right now. Expedia experiences. If you type in Trinidad and Tobago, there is only 47 businesses that have listed an activity on Expedia experiences.
Listen, Karen, I think, Karen, I just lost you there. I think as you shift the mic there was a little... Yeah, I think you're better now. You're saying that when you type Trinidad now on Expedia, what's coming up?
And when you go to Expedia and you type in Trinidad and Tobago.
Ooh, Karen, boy, I think the mic, just now, Karen, Karen, just go again, just adjust the cable there. I think we're just getting a little break in the audio.
Check.
Right, good there, good, nice, perfect.
Okay, yes.
So you're saying when you type in Trinidad, what's happening?
When you go to Expedia experiences, right? You type in Trinidad and Tobago, there's only 47 activities listed. And then when you go and Get Your Guide, we only have 60 experiences listed. So imagine, iShowSpeed pass through Trinidad and Tobago, millions of people watch, but only 47 activities are listed. So if people are looking at the iShow Speeds of the world and other content creators, if we're using AI to discover destinations, when they finally try to book things for TNT, we're not listing any of our activities or experiences on any of the digital platforms. So we are just not participating in tourism marketing in 2026, and that is the biggest problem right now. We're not participating in it. We are still treating tourism marketing like it's brochures, like we need to go to conventions, and just because people heard about doubles, they might just come. That's not how tourism marketing works, and that is the biggest problem that we have to address. It's not going to be an overnight fix, but it has to start now because we're already halfway through 2026, and we are invisible where customers are doing their research.
Which country, as we wrap things up, you would say is the gold standard? They have the blueprint for success. They are the opposite of what you just explained.
Thailand.
Thailand.
Thailand. Thailand is one of the most...
I think the mic again, Karen. I think we lost you with the mic. I feel you gotta
test.
I feel like a new chord boy. I feel a new chord. Because the mic is a good mic, but I just feel it's a chord boy, Karen. But I feel the chord give me some problems.
Okay. You can hear me now?
Yes, I think we're hearing you much better now.
Okay, yeah. So what we have to do is we have to start figuring out the education for tourism marketing. Tourism marketing has changed. It is digital. It is content creator friendly. We need the infrastructure so people can discover these experiences, because people are choosing countries to visit because of the experiences they can find online and that they can book. If we are not even listing our businesses or listing on experiences where people are doing their discovery, then we're just not even in the conversation. So when someone says, I have $1,000 US and I want a tropical destination with some good rum, good food, if we are not listing experiences, then we're not going to be recommended by the AI tools. It's going to recommend other places. So our tourism marketing education is the first thing and the most important thing that has to change right now.
Karen Rose, as always, sincere thanks. We'll touch base again next week, God spare. Always a great conversation and lots of lessons and lots we could use and do to make adjustments. All the best, Karen.
Sure. And again, take care. And again, everybody in power, take a look at Thailand. Thailand is a great blueprint for tourism marketing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So what we're going to do is get into a discussion with Ian Wallace, meteorologist, concerning the hurricane season. The do's, the don'ts, and how we need, as always, every hurricane season to be prepared. Preparedness. Ian Wallace, next.
Dry, irritated skin can make everyday life uncomfortable. For those with eczema, psoriasis, or sensitive, damaged skin, Manuka Derm is made with medical-grade Manuka honey, not regular honey, known for its soothing and healing properties. It helps calm, protect, and support skin recovery. Suitable for dry skin, skin tears, excoriations, and minor superficial wounds and burns. Manuka Derm, powered by Manuka honey. Available at pharmacies nationwide.
Extra, read all about it.
We are more than headlines, more than stories on a page.
The Trinidad and Tobago Guardian newspaper, your favorite national newspaper, is relaunching its community feature section with one major focus in mind.
It's all about we Trinis.
We life and culture.
We heritage.
We health.
We food. We music.
We community.
We men. We women.
We kids, yay! Everything we love and adore. We are every part of Trinidad and Tobago. And now, We is a space where every reader sees themselves reflected. Introducing We, The Guardian's bold new celebration, a magazine dedicated to irresistible stories and features that celebrate the very best of Trini life. Our stories, our culture, our life.
meteorologist Ian Wallace joins me on the Zoom line. It's been a long time, Ian. So great to see you, and I want to thank you for the time. And I look forward to all the facts you're going to bring to the table this morning for the 2026 hurricane season. Welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So June 1st through, I'm seeing November 30th, that's the designated time, but I'm hearing some of the experts are suggesting it's not going to be one of those like really tumultuous seasons. They're saying that apparently below average season, citing atmospheric pattern changes. Could you elaborate? Is this the case?
Yes, it is. We basically are expecting below normal rainfall, and this is simply because we basically will be having below normal activity, simply because we'll be having the El Nino in play. The El Nino tends to bring about quite a bit of suppression in terms of the cloudiness, but it also tends to bring a lot of shear. Shear is basically, we have up-level winds which go now from the west to the east. Usually they come from the east to the west, so that aids in cyclone development. But for this year, with the expected prediction of an El Nino coming in, we are expecting that we'll likely see more shear, which basically will cut the tops off of most of the developing tropical waves or tropical cyclones developing in our area. And because of that, we are expecting below normal numbers. So we are looking to see if, for the most part, one, how much are we going to see? And two, what the impact will be. But there's one major caveat to that, in that it only takes one bad or one approach of a tropical storm or a hurricane to make it a bad season. So this is not something that we should something that we should basically look at, simply because below normal does not mean that we will get hit by one. And that, I think, is the main message that we've been sending out to everyone when we speak to not only the public, but also to our stakeholders. So I would hope that for most people would take into account that we are still in the hurricane season, and with that, we tend to bring the risk of activity as well.
Yeah, unlike our brothers and sisters in the region further north, who in their lifetime would have been impacted, whether it be by the outer bands, a direct hit, we are so south on the chain, the last in the chain of islands. It more or less will form and go north of Trinidad, and we will get, some of the disruption. But is there any kind of scenario, I know, of course, Flora back in, I think, 62, and there would have been Brett and others over the years, but is there that possibility that we, Trinidad mainland, could be impacted? Because I don't really find people take the hurricane season too serious. Yes, we know it's there, but that level of awareness that Grenada, Barbados, Antigua, Jamaica most recently, they know, and they've felt and they've seen firsthand the impact of a hurricane. What's your advice to citizens here in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, I'll definitely say that for us here in Trinidad and Tobago, we have to be aware that the Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service has done a forecast basically for our area of interest. And our area of interest extends just from 60 west all the way out to 20 west longitude, so just southeast of the Cabo Verde Islands, and with just south of 15 north. So we tend to look at that slot across the Atlantic towards Africa in that narrow band to see how many storms we're likely to see in that area of interest. So I'll just like to say that for this year, we're likely to see somewhere in the region of the forecast is for 3 named storms within our area of interest, and we usually get about 4. So we're looking at just maybe 1 less, but still 3 are expected to form in that area of interest for Trinidad and Tobago. The likely number of named storms is a range between 2 to 5. So we're going for that number between 3. And then the likely number of hurricanes is supposed to be 1. And we basically still see about 1 on average. So if you are thinking about the likelihood of us getting a tropical storm activity or hurricane activity, we have to bear that in mind that there's still a possibility there. And we also have to remember that just last couple of years ago, you remember Hurricane Beryl, and that formed between June and July, between the 28th and the 2nd of July. So even though we forecasted reduced activity even in 2024, we can obviously remember what happened with Hurricane Beryl and how that affected us, particularly across in Tobago. So we did have obviously hurricane warnings in effect for Tobago, as well as for Grenada and the Grenadines and up towards Barbados. So even though most persons would say that Trinidad and Tobago is outside of the hurricane belt, that's not true. We tend to see less activity than most of our neighbors to the north, but we still obviously will experience tropical storms, some strong tropical storms, as well as hurricanes as well. So that's something to bear in mind.
Still vulnerable, and I'm glad that I brought up that so that you could remind everyone looking on that, don't take it for granted, and we need to be prepared. Let me ask you, what are the names on the list? And how did you come up with these names? Is it that the recycled names? These are random names. Let's go through them. I'm seeing Arthur.
Random? Well, I wouldn't say that they're random. I mean, obviously, my name is on it. It's not on it, not this year, but my name has been on it. The first name for the 2026 season will be Arthur, and then be followed by Bertha, Cristobal, Dolly, Edouard, Faye, Gonzalo. Remember, Gonzalo has been a repeat name. Hannah, Isias, Josephine, Kyle, Leah, Marco, Nana, Omar,
Hurricane Nana,
Renee, Sally, Teddy, Vicky, and Wilfred. So, well, yes, if you have a Hurricane Nana, then unfortunately, regardless of how the names actually alternate between male and female names. And obviously there's a list of names that we would use, and obviously would also alternate those. So you have to remember that for quite a few of us, we often see these hurricanes coming by, and if on tropical storms. But remember that if a storm or hurricane is extremely damaging or catastrophic impacts, we will basically retire that name of the storm. So
like the Ivan and Andrews and Melissa, those are retired names?
Yes.
Maria,
you will not see
retired?
those. Maria as well, yes. You will not see those again because one, persons may confuse a past event with a current one.
And then the trauma too, Ian. I'm sure the trauma for those who would have experienced it. Because I recall Andrew in 92. I went to Florida for the first time, and that was December of 92, and the place was still in a total shambles, and mind you, Andrew would have hit there probably about 2 months prior. I recall that as a child. I recall that Andrew, brutal, 92. I'll never forget.
That's the thing. Because what most people don't realize is that even, as I said, several years after a hurricane has passed through, especially a catastrophic one, the idea of rebuilding is still there. So most countries obviously will take at least 2 years. If you think of smaller developing states such as Dominica or Antigua, etc., when you get hurricanes coming through such as Maria, you basically the rebuilding process sometimes can be years in the making for you to get back to where you originally were. So when we do get these storms, and the storm names are basically, they're recycled every, we have 6 lists, and we recycle them every 6 years.
Understood.
So if you notice this 2026 list, we'll use that again in 2032. So if you're around in 2032, you'll see some of the names, but if one of these names, storms has had a big impact, you will not see it on that list.
Ian, what hurricane, when you go through the archives and go through the history, would you say would have been the most devastating as it pertains to casualties, and which one would have been the most expensive?
Right. Well, I would probably think if you are looking at, for example, some of them would have been obviously Maria. We had Dorian as well in the Bahamas. Those are some of the biggest ones that we've had. The impacts that we've seen, I'd have to do a bit more research on those to see, for example, in terms of the costs that have occurred. But we obviously will remember those storms such as Alma, etc., affecting Trinidad as well, or Tobago in particular. So those are the storms that we should be obviously have in the back of our minds. But I think going forwards, this season as well should be of utmost importance. So I would think the biggest thing for us to do as a country is to be prepared. We've had quite a bit of outreach, talking to persons, not only in the public, but to our stakeholders in the water industry, agriculture, energy industry, etc., so that they are on board to understand, one, our past history with tropical cyclones, but also the ability for us to prepare for the ones that haven't occurred as yet. And I think that's an important message as well.
Ian, as always, sincere thanks. I'm just going through some of the names again, these names, and again, we put them on screen. Some of those names are really, really out of the box. I mean, Nana, Leah, Faye, Omar, Vicky. Yeah. Wow. Hey, Ian, let's touch base at some point again during the season to bring that awareness to the forefront, as always. And I want to thank you so much for the time and for the counsel this morning, Ian. Great seeing you.
Well, thank you very much for having me. And we look forward to talking to you again throughout the season.
Definitely. And with that, we hope there is none of the names that appeared on that list will touch the Trinidad and Tobago soil. We ask for that in prayer. We can't do that right now, you know, with all what's going on with a Nana. Nana is a Nana. We take the pause and we come back. We get into our Cancer Survivor Month discussion and one of the global heroes of hope. They join me next.
So, you're not setting rules home, but telling your daughter, don't let no teacher have to call you because you're not following rules in school? You ever hear the old people say, butt in your crease? Better believe you could use that to set boundaries with your children. You are more than a friend to your children. Set clear, healthy boundaries for both you and your child. Make sure they are age-appropriate and, most importantly, consistent. This helps them understand what behavior is expected of them and provides a sense of structure and stability. It gives you a framework of trust and understanding to build on. And so at the end of the day, do your best. Share if you found this useful, and like and follow our profile for more parenting tips. Letter of the day, B, boundaries.
Out and clear.
Good, awesome.
Conversations on cancer, and with us, a global hero of hope representative, someone with heart, someone with spirit, someone with that fight, and someone with words to inspire those in that particular place going through their own struggle. These stories are stories that need to be told, and we are so happy to have on the phone line Marsha Danielle Joseph, because after all, Marsha, it is Cancer Survivors Month, and I believe for the entire month of June we will have so many stories to share. And we want to start with you, Marsha. Thank you for the time. I look forward to our discussion this morning. Welcome.
Thank you, and thank you for having me with you all this morning. And it's a pleasure to be here and to be sharing stories with our cancer survivors and about our cancer survivors for June Cancer Survivors Month.
How important is it for you, Marsha, to be open, to be transparent, to share your story with others?
When I started my diagnosis, I felt that that was the one thing that needed to come out of this. In order to be able to help someone, to empower someone else, I needed to share my story. And in doing so, I know even if it's one person that is empowered by my story or even the story of anyone else, we know that definitely we are moving forward in this fight against cancer.
Yeah, understood. Now, as it pertains to some of the work that's going to be done this month, any plans, any engagements, public, speeches, what's on the agenda, as it were? I mean, we could be doing a nice little media blitz this morning, but what else is in place to really spread that message of hope?
Well, that message of hope, as we know, moving forward, we have Tobago Moves coming up. That would be later on in the month of July as we move forward through the Relay for Life. And that would be tied in with the Global Hero of Hope. And also our Survivors Network. We have a fantastic little event coming up where we have the opportunity to meet and greet some of our survivors, where we are having a little cake soiree, as we term it, coming up at Twin City Mall on the 20th. But also that involves us with the outreach in so many ways. Through the Trinidad and Tobago Cancer Society, they do outreach in Tobago, and that's why Tobago Moves felt like such a special place in our heart this year that we took the Relay for Life event to Tobago this year.
Yeah, well said. Marsha, how important is it to have a support group, to have people around you? Because you would have obviously gone through the diagnosis, the treatment, and of course you could now share your survivor story. But going through it, when you were going through the pieces and the phase, who was your support team, and how important was that support team to get you to this place?
My support team consisted of many persons, and that would have been most importantly my family, my doctors, the Trinidad and Tobago Cancer Society, most importantly, because when I sat in my diagnosis, they were able to guide me and pair me with a survivor. And also, too, one needs to understand sometimes when you're going through this, it is not just your family and your friends, and they're all there to support you, but also to having someone who may have walked this journey or is walking this journey, and someone who can understand what you're going through as well makes such a huge difference. And as something as simple as a conversation, having a conversation with someone can mean such a difference with empowering someone, giving them that bit of hope to move forward. And Relay for Life, that is why it's so important to Trinidad and Tobago, the Global Hero of Hope. What that brings to us is that key word, hope. And what it also adds is that it gives our caregivers that platform that we understand the importance that they bring to our lives as survivors, because we are the warriors, but they are the soldiers that fight this battle with us day in, day out.
Marsha, how important was early detection in your particular,
in my particular instance?
Yes, and the fact that you're talking with me alive, full of life, smiling this morning, walk me through how important it was to pick up on the cancer very early.
Okay, so one of the things I had always done, and Trinidad and Tobago Cancer Society was always very close to my heart, and I always did my screenings with them. And when my case was detected, it wasn't a case of, okay, I am your typical candidate that needs, maybe there is the hint of possibility of a diagnosis of cancer. That wasn't the case. I just felt, it could have been maybe something as basic as calcification, because in my case, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. My stage was very early, and as a result of that, and because of my protocols that was followed, my end result was at this point, I did not have to do radiation or chemotherapy. And at this point, there's what we term as NED, no evidence of disease. Of course, you continue to be screened and checked, and because we know the little monster that cancer can be at times. But there is hope at the end of the day. We are moving forward because the technology and science and medicine has brought us to this point where early detection saves lives.
Yeah, well said,
Screening
Marsha.
saves lives.
Well said. Well
Don't
said.
live in fear. Don't live in fear.
Yeah, well said, Marsha. And I want to thank you so much for sharing, for opening up with us this morning. Hopefully next time I'll get to see you in person, but I know we'll get a chance to meet up soon. We're looking to wrap things up. Any closing remarks in the 10 seconds that remain before we shut the program down?
Definitely. To all of you out there who are concerned, who might be worried, don't live in fear. We do our testing, we do our early screening, and there's hope. There is life in cancer.
Marsha Daniel Joseph, thank you so much for sharing your story with us and inspiring hope. With that, we pull the curtains down. It's been A tremendous program this morning. Thank you to all the callers, for everyone for giving their particular opinion on the big talking points of the day. God spare, I'm back for more tomorrow. Remember, we are here on Thursday, Corpus Christi Thursday, just for 1 hour. So have no fear, we'll be here for the entire week. Until tomorrow, God spare. Have a great, safe, and productive day, Trinidad and Tobago.